In part 1, we studied Moatology, the forces that protect a business from imitation, substitution, commoditization, and competitive erosion.
Now we turn to a different question. What slows, blocks, redirects, filters, or complicates movement through that business?
That is the domain of frictionology.
Frictionology is the study of resistance inside a system. Where it appears, what causes it, whom it affects, and whether it is helping or hurting.
Most people hear the word friction and assume it is automatically bad.
That is the first mistake. Some friction creates waste, delay, confusion, abandonment, and frustration. Other friction protects quality, reduces risk, improves fit, and prevents expensive mistakes.
The goal is not to eliminate all friction.
The goal is to identify which friction should be removed, which should be reduced, which should be preserved, and which should be deliberately added.
That distinction matters because a frictionless system can be just as dangerous as an overloaded one.
A bank that allowed money to leave an account with no verification would be convenient, but it would not be secure.
A surgeon who skipped the preoperative checklist would move faster.
But the speed would come from removing a safeguard rather than improving the procedure.
A company that accepts every customer, every customization, and every deadline may appear easy to work with.
Internally, it may be destroying its margins, exhausting its employees, and weakening the repeatable system that made the company valuable.
Frictionology, therefore, begins with a more precise question than how do we make this easier?
It asks, easier for whom, easier to do what, and at what downstream cost?
That is where the discipline becomes useful.
A change that removes friction for the customer may create twice as much friction for employees. A shortcut that helps sales close the deal may create months of operational problems after the contract is signed.
A policy that protects accounting may create unnecessary delays for every customer.
A process that protects quality may look inconvenient from the outside, but prevent rework, refunds, disputes, and reputational damage.
Without a frictionology lens, these forces remain scattered across departments.
Sales blames operations. Operations blames sales. Customers blame the company. Leadership sees isolated complaints instead of a system.
Frictionology treats those complaints as evidence.
Every repeated delay, workaround, unnecessary handoff, abandoned form, duplicated entry, confused customer, and exhausted employee is a clue.
The first category is customer friction.
Customer friction is anything that makes it harder for the right customer to understand, evaluate, buy, receive, use, maintain, or recommend the offer.
Some examples are obvious.
A website hides the phone number. A checkout process asks for information that is not needed. A customer must create an account before seeing the price.
A quote takes 5 days because 3 people must approve it.
A support request requires the customer to repeat the same story to 4 different employees.
These are not merely annoyances.
Each point of friction creates another opportunity for the customer to delay, abandon, distrust, or choose a competitor.
Small barriers compound.
One confusing field may not kill a sale. One slow reply may not lose the customer. One unclear instruction may not create a refund.
But several small barriers in sequence can turn a willing buyer into a lost opportunity.
The company may never know why, because the customer often leaves without filing a report.
That is one reason customer friction is so expensive.
Visible complaints represent only the people motivated enough to explain the problem. Silent abandonment is usually larger.
The second category is employee friction.
Employee friction is anything that makes competent people waste time fighting the system instead of doing valuable work.
They re-enter the same information into multiple systems.
They search through emails for attachments that should live in a shared repository. They ask permission for routine decisions because authority is unclear.
They manually build reports that could be generated automatically.
They attend meetings because nobody trusts the documentation. They copy data from one spreadsheet into another because the systems do not communicate.
This kind of friction is often normalized.
Employees stop reporting it because they assume the workaround is part of the job.
The workaround then becomes invisible infrastructure.
The company believes the process works because the employees are absorbing the cost through memory, effort, overtime, personal spreadsheets, and unofficial procedures.
That is dangerous because leadership sees output without seeing the resistance behind it.
The system appears efficient only because people are compensating for its defects.
The third category is decision friction.
Decision friction occurs when people lack the information, authority, criteria, or confidence required to move forward.
A manager waits for the owner.
The owner waits for more data. The employee waits for the manager. The customer waits for everyone.
No single person appears responsible for the delay.
Yet the organization loses time because the decision pathway was never designed.
Decision friction frequently hides inside approval chains.
Approvals are added after mistakes, but rarely removed after the underlying risk changes.
One exception becomes a permanent policy.
One bad purchase creates 3 signatures for every future purchase. One difficult customer creates a rule that burdens every good customer.
Over time, the company accumulates defensive bureaucracy.
Each rule made sense when viewed individually. Together, they produce paralysis.
The fourth category is communication friction.
Communication friction appears when the right information does not reach the right person in the right form at the right time.
An important detail lives in someone's inbox.
A customer change is mentioned in a meeting but never entered into the project system. A salesperson promises something operations never sees.
The company then mistakes an information architecture problem for a people problem.
Employees are told to communicate better, but the system still depends on memory, forwarding, searching, and interruption.
Communication does not improve merely because leadership asks people to try harder.
It improves when the pathway becomes clearer, more reliable, and less dependent on heroic behavior.
The fifth category is process friction.
Process friction occurs when work takes more steps, handoffs, approvals, tools, or transformations than the result justifies.
A form is printed, signed, scanned, emailed, downloaded, renamed, and uploaded again.
A report is exported from one system, cleaned in a spreadsheet, copied into slides, and then recreated the following week.
The company may call this its workflow.
Frictionology asks whether the workflow exists because it is necessary or because nobody has challenged it.
That question is deceptively powerful.
Many processes are not designed. They are sediment. Each layer was added at a different time by a different person responding to a different problem.
Eventually, nobody knows why the process contains 12 steps.
They only know that skipping one feels dangerous.
This is where introspection matters.
A company cannot diagnose friction honestly if every department treats its current process as sacred.
The right question is not, who created this mess?
The right question is, where is the system asking people to spend effort without creating corresponding value?
That shifts the conversation away from blame.
It turns frustration into evidence and workarounds into design signals.
Frictionology also distinguishes between active work and waiting.
Companies measure how long a task takes to perform, but often ignore how long it sits untouched between steps.
A request may require only 20 minutes of actual labor.
But if it waits 2 days for review, 1 day for clarification, and 3 days for approval, the customer experiences a 6-day process.
The labor was not the bottleneck.
The handoffs, queues, uncertainty, and authority structure were the bottleneck.
That is why speeding up individual workers often fails to improve the customer experience.
The worker may complete the task 10% faster, while the request still spends 90% of its life waiting.
64/4 thinking changes the diagnosis.
Instead of optimizing every step, identify the 4 friction points producing most of the delay, cost, abandonment, rework, or frustration.
One approval may create 64% of the waiting.
One missing piece of information may cause most of the follow-up calls. One software boundary may force most of the duplicate entry.
One unclear promise may create most of the conflict between sales and operations.
Find those critical 4 before launching a company-wide efficiency campaign.
Otherwise, the organization may spend months polishing low-impact steps.
It automates a task that takes 2 minutes while ignoring a handoff that delays every project by 3 days.
This is the difference between activity and leverage.
Frictionology is not a celebration of optimization for its own sake. It is a search for disproportionate resistance.
There is also such a thing as beneficial friction.
Beneficial friction slows or filters behavior in order to protect quality, trust, safety, profitability, focus, or fit.
A qualification call may add friction before a consulting engagement.
But it can prevent the wrong customer from buying the wrong service and becoming dissatisfied later.
A minimum project size may repel small opportunities.
It can also protect the team from filling its calendar with work that cannot support the delivery model.
A confirmation screen may add one extra click.
It may prevent the user from deleting valuable data by mistake.
A waiting period can feel inconvenient.
It may give the customer time to review a major financial or legal decision before committing.
These are examples of friction functioning as a membrane.
A membrane does not block everything. It selectively allows the right things through while resisting the wrong things.
Good membranes protect the system without creating arbitrary suffering.
Bad barriers inconvenience everyone because the company has not distinguished risk from habit.
The practical test is whether the friction produces measurable protection.
Does it improve quality, reduce fraud, prevent rework, increase customer fit, protect scarce capacity, clarify commitment?
If the answer is no, the friction may be bureaucracy wearing the costume of discipline.
And if nobody can explain why a barrier exists, that barrier deserves inspection.
Consultants need frictionology because clients often describe symptoms rather than systems.
They say sales are slow, employees are overwhelmed, customers are unhappy, projects are late, or margins are shrinking.
A weak consultant immediately prescribes software, training, automation, or more staff.
A stronger consultant maps where movement is breaking down before recommending a remedy.
Sometimes the problem is not insufficient capacity.
It is that valuable capacity is trapped behind poor handoffs, duplicated work, conflicting incentives, and unnecessary approvals.
Marketers need frictionology because attention is wasted when the path from interest to action is poorly designed.
A campaign may generate demand while the landing page confuses visitors. The form asks too much, the response takes too long, or the sales handoff loses context.
The marketer may be blamed for weak conversion.
But the real loss may occur after marketing has already done its job.
Salespeople need frictionology because buying decisions are shaped by resistance.
Unclear pricing, delayed proposals, excessive options, vague next steps, missing proof, and internal approval problems can stall an otherwise qualified buyer.
The answer is not always more persuasion.
Sometimes the salesperson needs to remove uncertainty, simplify the choice, shorten the pathway, or expose the hidden decision criteria.
Frictionology also applies to the offer itself.
A product may be valuable, but difficult to adopt. A service may produce excellent results, but require too much effort from the client.
That burden becomes part of the price, even when it never appears on the invoice.
Customers pay with time, attention, learning, coordination, uncertainty, and interruption.
A lower-priced product with high adoption friction may be more expensive than a premium product that fits naturally into the customer's life.
That is why convenience can command a margin when it removes meaningful resistance rather than merely adding polish.
The danger is assuming that every convenience improves the business.
Removing too much friction can attract poor-fit customers, increase abuse, weaken commitment, reduce perceived value, or create operational chaos.
A free trial with no qualification may produce more sign-ups.
It may also flood support with users who were never likely to buy.
Instant customization may increase close rates.
It may also destroy the repeatability required for profitable delivery.
Frictionology therefore requires balance.
Do not worship convenience. Do not worship control. Design resistance according to the outcome the system needs.
The recurring audit is straightforward.
Where do customers hesitate, wait, repeat themselves, abandon, complain, or require rescue?
Where do employees create personal workarounds, duplicate information, wait for approval, interrupt each other, or depend on memory?
Where do projects sit idle? Where does rework begin? Where do exceptions multiply? Where does responsibility become unclear?
Then apply the 64/4 lens.
Find the 4 friction points, producing most of the economic and emotional drag.
Do not begin with the easiest issue to fix.
Begin with the issue, whose removal changes the entire flow of the system.
And do not remove a barrier until you understand what it protects.
A badly designed process may still contain one valuable safeguard, hidden inside 10 unnecessary steps.
Preserve the safeguard and redesign the path around it.
That is more intelligent than choosing between blind automation and blind tradition.
This is the second part of our 3-part series.
Moatology showed us what protects the business. Frictionology has shown us what regulates, slows, blocks, or redirects movement through it.
But the two disciplines become most powerful when they are used together.
A moat without friction may be easy to cross. Friction without a moat may be nothing more than inconvenience.
Some friction strengthens the moat by protecting quality, trust, commitment, fit, and scarcity.
Other friction weakens the moat by driving away good customers, exhausting employees, slowing delivery, and making the company easier to replace.
That creates the central question for Part 3.
Which friction protects the business, and which friction is quietly destroying the very advantage the company depends on?
In the final episode, we will combine Moatology and Frictionology into a practical company diagnosis.
We will examine what deserves protection, what deserves removal, and how to design the terrain so the right customers move easily while the wrong risks meet resistance.
Because the strongest company is not simply difficult to attack.
It is easy for the right people to enter, difficult for the wrong forces to damage, and deliberately designed at every point in between.